Grandma, don't sign it. Evelyn Carter froze with the gold fountain pen hovering over the contract. Around her, executives, attorneys, investors, and family friends waited inside Carter Aeronautics headquarters outside Atlanta. In less than 5 minutes, Evelyn was supposed to hand controlling authority of the company she had spent 38 years building to her son-in-law, Grant Holloway. Her 6-year-old grandson Noah stood beside her, clutching a red toy airplane. "What did you say, sweetheart?" Evelyn asked. Noah looked nervously toward his father. "Daddy said after you sign it, you won't be here much longer." The room went silent. Grant forced a laugh. "He's 6. He misunderstood." But Noah stepped closer to Evelyn. "He said when Grandma signs the papers, everything belongs to us. And he told Uncle Trevor you wouldn't be around long enough to change your mind?" Evelyn lowered the pen. Before Grant could explain, Evelyn's longtime chief of staff, Marlene Brooks, appeared beside the stage with Daniel Cho, head of corporate security. Daniel carried a laptop and looked directly at Grant. "Evelyn," Marlene said quietly, "you need to see something." Evelyn Carter had spent most of her life being underestimated. At 34, recently widowed and raising her only daughter Claire, she had started Carter Aeronautics in a rented hangar after banks refused to finance her aircraft component designs. She mortgaged her home, worked nights, and turned the company into a business worth hundreds of millions. Now, at 72, she had decided it was finally time to step back. Claire never wanted to run the company, but her husband Grant seemed perfect for the job. He was polished, educated, strategic, and charming. After joining Carter Aeronautics 7 years earlier, he helped expand the company into new markets and earned the trust of both Evelyn and the board. What Evelyn did not know was that Grant behaved very differently whenever she was not watching. Samuel Price knew that better than anyone. The 63-year-old warehouse supervisor had worked for Evelyn for 31 years. When Grant first arrived, he treated Samuel with respect. But the moment Evelyn left town, Grant's personality changed. One afternoon, after Evelyn departed for a conference, Samuel approached Grant with a production problem. Grant barely looked at him. "This is what happens when people stay in one job too long," he told several younger executives. "They start believing routine problems are important." When Evelyn returned the next morning, Grant smiled warmly at Samuel as if nothing had happened. Over the next year, veteran employees began disappearing. Older managers were pushed into retirement. Workers loyal to Evelyn were replaced with people loyal to Grant. Marlene noticed it too, but neither she nor Samuel had proof. Meanwhile, Grant slowly convinced Evelyn to step away from daily operations. "You've earned the right to enjoy your life," he told her. Evelyn began traveling more and attending Noah's soccer games. Every time she left, Grant gained more control. Noah noticed what the adults missed. Because Claire and Grant were temporarily living at Evelyn's estate, Noah often played nearby while adults talked. One evening, he hid behind a sofa, building a runway for his toy airplane while Grant spoke privately with his brother Trevor. "She thinks she's transferring day-to-day authority," Grant said. "Is she?" "She's transferring enough. Once I control the voting structure, the board follows me." Trevor hesitated. "What about the old employees?" "They'll be gone." "Samuel? First wave? Marlene?" Grant smiled. "Especially Marlene." Noah did not understand everything, but he understood that his father sounded different whenever Grandma Evelyn was not around. Weeks later, Noah overheard an even more disturbing conversation. Grant was speaking with a corporate consultant named Victor Lane about Evelyn's succession agreement. Victor warned him that Evelyn still had the power to reverse the transfer. Then we make sure the board doesn't let her, Grant said. How? Grant lowered his voice. Memory lapses, fatigue, medical concerns. She's 72. If everyone starts questioning her judgment, nobody lets her reverse anything. After that, Noah started noticing small things. Grant would tell Evelyn she had forgotten meetings she had never been told about. He would correct her in front of board members. Sometimes he was right, sometimes he was lying. Slowly, Evelyn began questioning her own memory. Samuel discovered another piece of Grant's plan by accident. While reviewing invoices, he found that Carter Aeronautics had paid nearly $4 million to a company called Meridian Technical Group. Samuel investigated from home and discovered that Meridian was connected to Trevor Holloway, Grant's brother. He printed the records and locked them inside his warehouse locker. When Samuel returned from lunch, the locker was open. The documents were gone. 2 hours later, Grant called him upstairs. 31 years is a long time, Samuel, Grant said. Samuel stared at him. Did you open my locker? Grant's smile disappeared. You should be careful making accusations you cannot prove. Samuel left the office knowing Grant was no longer simply preparing to run Evelyn's company. He was removing anyone who might stop him. That night, Samuel called Marlene. We need evidence. Daniel Cho found it. Security logs showed Grant entering Evelyn's executive office and legal archives late at night. More suspiciously, footage from the records room had been deleted, but Daniel knew the company maintained an off-site backup system. When he restored the deleted footage, he saw Grant and Victor entering the legal records room at 1:47 in the morning. Victor connected a drive to a company computer while Grant photographed documents. Evelyn's outside attorney compared the current succession agreement with the original version. 3 critical clauses had been changed. One expanded Grant's voting control. Another allowed the board to suspend Evelyn's authority if her mental capacity was questioned. A third gave Grant broad authority to sell company assets. The attorney stared at the revised document. I never wrote this. Still, they needed direct proof that Grant understood exactly what he was doing. Noah provided it. On the morning of the signing ceremony, Noah wandered near Grant's temporary office. Grant was inside with Trevor. Once Evelyn signs today, we move immediately, Grant said. Samuel is gone Monday. Marlene is next. Daniel gets replaced before the quarter ends. And Evelyn? Trevor asked. Grant sighed. She'll fight once she understands what happened. So we start documenting concerns about her judgment immediately. And if she tries to reverse it, by the time she figures everything out, she won't be here long enough to change it. Noah's toy airplane slipped from his hand and hit the floor. Grant opened the door. What did you hear? Nothing, Noah whispered. Grant crouched and grabbed his shoulders. You are not going downstairs and repeating things you don't understand. Then Claire called from the hallway. Grant instantly released Noah and smiled. Coming, sweetheart! That was the moment Noah understood. His father had 2 faces. Minutes later, Evelyn picked up the pen, and Noah ran to her. Grandma, don't sign it. The ceremony was suspended. Evelyn, Grant, Claire, Noah, Marlene, Daniel, Samuel, and 2 attorneys gathered inside a private conference room. Daniel showed the recovered footage. Grant claimed he was allowed inside the records room. Then the attorney placed the original and altered contracts side by side. Claire stared at her husband. Did you change Mom's agreement? No. You were on camera. I reviewed it. At 1 in the morning? Grant said nothing. Marlene then placed the Meridian records on the table. $4 million went to a company tied to Trevor. Grant's expression shifted. Samuel entered the room and explained the missing documents and Grant's threat. Grant laughed. A warehouse supervisor thinks he understands corporate acquisitions? Samuel looked at Evelyn. There. Evelyn frowned. Samuel pointed at Grant. That voice, that's how he talks when you're gone. The room became silent. Evelyn finally saw the pattern. The employees leaving, the meetings she supposedly forgot, Grant correcting her memory, Grant encouraging her to step away. It had all been happening in front of her, but never while she was truly watching. Then Noah spoke. Daddy said they would make everybody think you forget things. Claire slowly turned toward Grant. Is that true? Grant's mask finally cracked. You built a great company, Evelyn, he snapped, but you're 72 and incapable of letting go. Someone had to protect this company from you. Evelyn stared at him. Protect it from me? Grant leaned forward. You change your mind constantly. No, Evelyn said quietly. You spent months making me believe I did. Grant went silent, and then he tried another tactic. I did this for Claire and Noah, for their future. Noah whispered, You scared me. Claire stood immediately. Don't look at him! Grant stared at his wife. Claire? Did you really try to make everyone believe my mother was losing her mind? Grant said nothing. That silence was enough. Evelyn picked up the succession contract, and then she tore it in half. Grant's face drained. You can't do that. Evelyn tore it again. I just did. There is no transition, she continued, and as of this moment, you are suspended from Carter Aeronautics. Grant looked toward the attorneys and security officers entering the room. You planned this? Evelyn looked at Noah. No. He stopped me before I made the biggest mistake of my life. Grant turned toward Claire. She stepped away. You need to leave, she said. Security escorted Grant through the headquarters. For the first time, Evelyn watched the faces of the employees as he passed. A receptionist looked up. A maintenance worker nodded toward Evelyn. Several employees stopped pretending to work. They had known something was wrong. They had simply been afraid to speak. Within weeks, an independent investigation uncovered millions of dollars in questionable contracts, altered corporate documents, and emails showing Grant's plan to replace Evelyn's loyal employees and portray her as mentally unfit. Grant had not planned to physically hurt Evelyn. His plan was quieter. He intended to erase her from her own company while she was still alive. Samuel expected to return quietly to the warehouse after the investigation. Instead, Evelyn called him into her office and placed a folder in front of him. Inside was a promotion to Vice President of Workforce Integrity and Operations. Samuel stared at her. Mrs. Carter, I run a warehouse. You protected a company. I don't have an MBA. Evelyn smiled. Neither did I when I built one. Marlene became Chief Governance Officer. Daniel received greater authority over internal ethics investigations. Evelyn also created a confidential reporting system so no employee would ever again have to fear losing their job for telling the truth. Claire later separated from Grant, and Evelyn remained chairwoman. But she never forgot who saved her. 1 year later, Carter Aeronautics opened a new Employee Innovation Center. Inside the lobby stood a glass display case. Inside it was Noah's little red airplane, a brass plaque beneath it read, The Noah Carter Principle. What happens when leadership isn't watching matters more than what people do when leadership is in the room. Noah stared at the display. Grandma? Yes? Did my airplane save the company? Evelyn smiled and knelt beside him. No, sweetheart, you did. Because I told? Because you told when someone wanted you to stay quiet. Noah thought for a moment. Then he asked, Are you still the boss? Evelyn smiled. For now. Noah nodded toward the factory floor. Then you should watch better. Evelyn laughed. You're absolutely right. A year earlier, she had nearly signed away everything because she trusted what people showed her when she was present. Her grandson taught her something more important. Anyone can act kind when the right people are watching. The truth is revealed by what they do when they believe no one important can see them.